Hi everyone, welcome to another lesson on bite-sized math made easy. Today we're going to learn about how fractions are related to division. If you look at a fraction, for example, like what's shown here, 1 over 5, you can see that it looks quite similar to the symbol of division. You can see the division symbol has got a line similar to a fraction. Instead of a number as the denominator and the numerator, it's got these little dots. So it looks quite similar. And it's quite related to division, especially the denominator. So to demonstrate how fractions are related to division, let's look at a unit. Okay, for example, one rectangle. So 1 over 5 means we have to divide this rectangle to 5 equivalent units. Okay, so we have done that, and let's separate them out. Okay, so there are 5 separate parts of equal size, and each of these parts will have a value of 1 over 5. Okay, so 1 divided to 5 equal parts, each of these parts will have a value of 1 over 5. Okay, that means 1 over 5 means you have 1 unit divided to 5 equal parts, and we're looking at one of that part, and one of that part will have a value of 1 over 5. So we don't have to just divide a unit, we can also divide a number larger than 1. Okay, let's say we are going to do 1 over 5 of 20. We want to find out what's the value, a fifth of 20. Okay, so I've got 20 circles here. As mentioned earlier, division is closely related to the denominator. So we have a denominator of 5. That means the number 20, we have to divide that to 5 equal parts. Okay, so that's what we did. There are 5 equal parts here, and each part there are 4 circles inside. Okay, each one has got 4 inside. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 1 over 5 of 20 means you have 20, you divide that to 5 equal parts, and each one part of it will have 4 inside. So the value 1 over 5 of 20 is 4. So the key here again is, how is fraction related to division? And it's all got to do with the denominator. The denominator closely relates to division. This fraction has got a denominator of 5. That means you take that number and divide it by 5. Okay, so I'll shade this 4 out of the 20. Okay, so that's the first one, second one, third one, and the fourth one. So what I've done is I've shaded 4 out of 20. And if you haven't noticed already, 4 out of 20 is an equivalent fraction of 1 over 5. Okay, because 1 times 4, you get 4, and 5 times 4, you get 20. So 1 over 5 of 20. So if you put it as an equivalent fraction, 1 over 5 to 20, and we're trying to find out this number, we find the relationship between 5 and 20. That's 5 multiplied with 4. So the number here, the numerator, should be 1 times 4 also. You get 4. So that's another way of finding the answer. is to treat them as equivalent fractions, and this will be the denominator for the equivalent fraction. So we have to find the numerator, which is the answer to 1 over 5 of 20. Alright, so let's look at other fractions. We'll look at a fifth. So for half, we know half is 1 over 2. That means half of a number is you take that number and you divide it by 2. For example, you want to find half of 8 is 4, right? So we take 8, divide by 2, you get 4. Similarly, for a third, it's 1 over 3. So 1 over 3 of a number is you take that number, divide it by 3. And for quarter, it's 1 over 4. So you divide that number by 4. And for an eighth, it's 1 over 8. So 1 over 8 of a number is you take that number and divide it by 8. Similarly, for a tenth, it's 1 over 10. So you take, so if you want to find out a tenth of a number, you take that number and divide it by 10. Okay, now that we have a good understanding of how fractions are related to division, let's look at a simpler and faster way to find solutions to the problem. I always teach the mathematical principles first so that you have a good understanding of the principle before you do the quicker way of finding solutions. Okay, so let's look at what we have done earlier, 1 over 5 of 20. So if we were to graphically draw and find the solution, it's going to take a lot of time. I did that just now so that you have a clear understanding of the math principle. Okay, so to find the answer in the blue box, a faster way for 1 over 5 of 20 would be 20 divide by 5, you get 4, and that's the answer. Okay, so let's say the problem gives you the fraction, gives you the answer, but doesn't tell you what's the total number that we are taking the fraction from. Okay, so how to get 20? That's 5, the denominator, times with the answer, multiply with the answer. 5 multiplied by 4, you get 20. Okay, let's say the problem does not give you the fraction or does not give you the denominator. Okay, so we got the total 20 and we got the answer 4. So what is the fraction? Okay, so that for that you 20 divide by 4, you get the answer. Okay, 5. So if it's difficult for you to remember, whether it's multiply or divide, which number you multiply, which number you divide, the easiest way will be to use equivalent fractions. Okay, so 1 over 5 for the first one, we got the fraction. Okay, and we have the total, which forms the denominator. We don't know what's the value, so we use equivalent fractions. So 5 to get 20, you multiply by 4, so you multiply the numerator by 4 also. Okay, so the question for the answer to this question will be 4. Okay, similarly for this problem, we have the fraction. We know the numerator 4, but we don't know what's the total. The total always is the denominator, so we don't know this. So similarly, equivalent fraction 1 and 4, you get multiplied by 4, so you multiply the denominator 5 by also 4, So you get 20. Okay. So similarly, for the third one, we have 1 over, we don't know what's the denominator, and we know the answer is 4, which forms the numerator, and the total always the denominator. So 1 and 4, you divide by 4, you get 1, and 20 you divide by 4, so this answer will be 5. Okay, so if you're confused which number to divide, which number to multiply, just use the concept of equivalent fractions to find out your answer. If you're not sure what equivalent fractions are, please refer to one of my earliest video where I explained in length about that topic. So before we try out some sample problems, here are the answers to the worksheet in my last video on improper fractions. Okay, so this is the answer to question number 1 of worksheet 006. Answer to question number 2. Question number 3. Answers to question number 4. Number 5. Question number 6. I think this is the last one. Answers to question number 7. Alright, so let us look at a sample problem. Sample problem number 1. Kathy bought 24 eggs from the grocery store. When she got home, she found that a third of the eggs were broken. How many eggs were broken? Okay, so we have the fraction here, a third. So that's 1 over 3 of, do we know the total? Yes, the total is 24 eggs. So that's 24. So we do not know the answer. Okay, so we know that to get this answer, all you have to do is division. The total divide by the denominator. So 24 divide by 3. So the answer is 8. Okay. The other way to do it is, of course, using equivalent fractions. So you got 1 over 3. Then we have the total, which forms the denominator. And we don't know what's the numerator, which is the answer to the question. So using equivalent fractions, 3 and 24, you multiply 3 with 8, you get 24. Similarly, you multiply the numerator by 8 also. So 1 multiplied by 8 is 8. Okay, so this is the answer to the question. Let's look at problem number 2. Okay, Mr. Walker has an orchard where he grows fruit trees. A third of the trees are plum trees. He has 6 plum trees in his orchard. How many fruit trees are there in Mr. Walker's orchard? Okay, so we have the fraction here, a third. So we write that of, we don't know the total number of trees. That's what we're supposed to find out. How many fruit trees are there in Mr. Walker's orchard? So that's an unknown. And we know 1/3 of the trees are plums, and 1/3 equals to 6 plum trees. Okay. So using the first method to find the total, you take the answer, multiply that with the denominator of the fraction. 6 multiplied by 3, you get 18. So that's the answer. Or we can use equivalent fractions. So we know 1 over 3 equals to, we don't know what's the total. That's an unknown. But we know the numerator, the answer is 6. So looking at 1 and 6, to get 6 from 1, you multiply it with 6. and you multiply to the denominator also by 6. So 3 multiply with 6, you get 18. Okay, so that's the answer to the question. All right, simple enough. Now that we've done some sample problems, it'd be good if you guys can, practice what you learned using a worksheet. As usual, I'm providing a worksheet of some problems for you to try. The answers will be provided in my next video. Okay, to reinforce what you have learned, it's good to try problems. The more problems you try, the better you'll be in math. So this is worksheet number 7, question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5, a word problem, and question 6, the last one, also a word problem. Okay, as usual, if you have trouble with these problems, you might have to look at some of my earlier videos. Okay, that's my lesson for today. I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.